Hello everyone, welcome to my deck profile. My name is Jaime and I got 5th place in Montreal Regional with Unchained. I'd like to give a quick shout out to everyone that rooted for me and congratulate me for making it to top 8. I'd like to shout out as well to Hakuna for giving me this opportunity. On that note, let's go to the main deck. Main deck total is 44. I play 3 Aruha, don't need to say much about this, it's pretty much standard. 1 Rekia. I'll explain later why I only play one, but for this deck, you can already tell from what I said earlier, it's 44 main deck. Um, there's no space, and also you will not need this for other reasons. You will not need 3 actually, sorry. 1 is perfect. I wouldn't add more. 1 Sarama, nothing to say about this. 2 dogs. I know a lot of people like to have Disaster instead, but because there's a line that I like to really just focus on, I'd like to play 2 dogs instead. It makes my life a lot easier. Whereas Disaster would kind of make you go through that extra mile of making a lot more plays that you don't really need to. I like to just keep it very much simple. And I think if somehow your opponent manages to get rid of 1 blue dog and you only played 1 in that other scenario, you will only have 1 level 6, and that kind of makes it a big difference. That's why I'd like to have 2 dogs. It's still a brick, but you gotta have to work with what you were given. So I think this is what I like. It's really a personal preference at this point, but 2 blue dogs really helped me out over Disaster. I didn't personally did not really like Disaster. Not much really comfortable with it. Aruha is that 1. A-bomb, gonna have to. This is the reason why we play 1 Rikia, because I still play Tour Guide. A lot of people don't like Tour Guide at this point, knowing, and I understand. They say, it's a hand trap format. They're gonna usually stop this, but from my understanding, this is a line that enables you to not get locked into fiends if you have specific cards, obviously, as well as if you open Tour Guide, an Unchained monster and a spell trap Unchained, you would have the typical full combo that can play through almost anything, which is why she's really great. She's a great starter as well as an extender if you needed to. Um, and yeah, this Tour Guide can help you go into Apo line as well. I think this is just crucial. Worst case, she's a bait. She'll eat up a hand trap for you, and then you can keep playing. That's why Rick has at 1, and I'd just play 3 Tour Guide. And this is most of the time when I played against my opponent, they would ash this or something, and I would be able to keep playing just because of that reason. And that it does the job essentially. I wouldn't say no to Tour Guide, honestly. This is the brick. Gonna have to play it. Shall leave it here. For hand traps, we don't play a lot. We only play 3 nibs. Well, there's others, but we'll start off with 3 nibs. Nib didn't really help, quite frankly, maybe because the opportunity or the situation didn't really came up. But a lot of times Nib kind of stayed dead in my hand. I think I resolved Nib like once or twice throughout the whole event. I would potentially put it to 2 for this card could probably be another card that would help me based on what the main deck has, and you'll see later. 3 Ash is pretty standard. It's a good hand trap. I like it. I know it's not that great against Snake Eyes Striking because you can just heat out and make plays, but it's just a generically good hand trap that I can't really afford to cut it. Um, and it's there also for another reason. Everything will make sense once I explain. I'll show you the card that I play in main deck. That's the monster count. I think it's 20. Now onto the spells. Basic. 3 prosp, 3 contracts, 3 A-bomb, 1 wailing. This is all standard. I wouldn't change anything here. And this is why you kind of want to play the others. It's because I main deck crossouts. Um, the idea behind this deck list is that you only keep hand traps that can potentially screw you over, so that whenever they have that hand trap, you can actually come back with this, or clap back at them, so that your line goes through. And it's very important that this goes through because of a specific line that we trying to focus on, whether it be Apo line or any other line. Honestly, this has saved my ass many times, especially against getting nibbed. as well as I guess Ash. You know, it's just to ensure the early stages of when you're doing your line and you're not really safe. This really helps you out. Like this is MVP for me. It has saved my ass a lot of times during the event. I would not cut it. On to the traps. This is a preference. You can cut it to one if you want. I mean, you can cut it to two. Like get rid of one if you want. I don't really. Um, there's not much big reasoning as to why you would play it to three, but if there's one thing is it would be inside the extra deck. I know some people prefer to have escape, but I just chose this over escape because in the extra deck I only play two Yamas. I don't play three, so I guess this would compensate for it if ever. And here's the escape, two escapes, three imperm. This is essentially also your crossout targets, and this is what is the main. This is the main win con of the deck, and it's the Mayakashi lock. If you win die roll, this deck does stellar going first. Especially when you have crossouts, um, they can't. They just have to let you like play essentially, and it screws them over on their turn because they don't get to summon anywhere really. And a lot of decks get affected by this. Only deck that didn't really care much was Goaty, but I played against Snake Eyes. This craps on them. I played against Dragon Ruler. This craps on them. Flu. This is dead, obviously. But I mean, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have to go to side deck and get rid of these guys. But even then, rollback is pretty good because it copies a bunch of your good trap cards as well. So this could have been also your third escape if you wanted to, or so on and so forth. Whatever you need, it could copy that. So it's up to you if you want to keep it or not. I tend to remove it often if I don't need it. They go together. So I would probably get rid of these when it comes to side decking if I don't need it. But going first, this goes back in, and you rush. You make the Beatrice line, and you just lock them for the turn, and then next turn, usually they will either pass or set and just give a turn, and you'll be able to OTK them. That's the main win con of this deck. So you can you can tell, I guess, that you want to go first with this, but even if you go second, it's not too bad because it's still Unchained, right? You can still break boards with this build, and it just doesn't. There's just a big difference between going first and second for this particular build. But yeah, this is 44, and I'll go to extra deck now. You'll see. I'll start off with Goddess. Never came up, but it's good to have because I was very much afraid of any towers like Skull Guardian for Voiceless, but they usually stop you by then, so it's kind of like questionable sometimes. I think it's just good to have. You can always replace this if you want. I would understand. Maybe it could be a third Yama if you need to, but I felt like two was fine. I didn't need a third one. I play Apo. This is for Apo line obviously. SP, standard, Muckracker, standard. I play Griffin. This is just the one-off chance if ever you need to make the line because it's still useful sometimes. Um, I think it is pretty effective against Snake Eyes Fire King at some point, or any Snake Eyes really, because they have to work for it. They really need to get rid of this if they want to keep playing. So I think it has some merit to this to make it, but again, this is rarely the case. It's just an option to have, and I think um, I would choose this over certain other cards. Like this is still valid in my opinion to keep playing this line. Unicorn, it's whatever. A bomb, that's fine. Uh, Anguish at one, don't need more than one. I think everyone can agree on that. Some might not, but I think generally you'll be fine with just one. It hardly comes out to be honest, so you really one is perfect. Two rages, that's fine. Nothing to increase here. Two yamas. Uh, this is the DDD package. That's fine. You need it. One Caesar. That's okay, and you need Beatrice. Right. 15 total. Um, the only card that I would probably remove or consider other options is probably this. But again, um, this is really good against if ever you're stuck in a grind game and you need to get rid of a tower. I think this is always good to have, but it could be anything honestly. I don't play Typhon. The amount of times I brought out Typhon, um, because my opponent he swarmed the board with a bunch of big beaters. It didn't really do much really. I could have if if it wasn't for, let's say, I don't know, suppose you he makes a fat board and you just bring out Typhon to lock most of the monsters. You're locking yourself too, and I don't really like that. It's a personal preference at this point, really. I know a lot of people love Typhon. It's broken, but I didn't feel it. It wasn't that great. Like I don't want to just end on a Typhon. Like it's just not necessary. I was happy with the way things are here, and most of my duels I didn't need to bring out Typhon really. Like I didn't wish I had a Typhon at some point, and even if I did, it would not do much. Like I can't kill. I need to be able to kill my opponent. So unless I'm doing it wrong, but I think so far I like the extra deck as is. Not even this also doesn't come out. Zeus, and you don't really need it unless you play multiple of these, but space issues at this point. So I think this is fine. Onto side deck, we play well. Yeah, we side deck Shifter. This is for matchups like Snake Eyes Striking. They depend on the grave, honestly, and other, of course, other matchups. Um, you can still play through Shifter, but obviously it's not recommended. But it hurts them more than it hurts you. So Shifter would be a really good fit in this deck, quite honestly. It helps you it helps you preventing from getting puppet locked, right? Because they need to somehow. I haven't played against any branded, but that's the logic behind it. They need their graveyard to do stuff, so I would assume it does something at very least. Snake Eyes is nothing much to say there. It's obvious. Droll is also it never really came up quite frankly. I had a matchup against Flu, just didn't see this, so it didn't really matter. But I'll talk more about that in a bit. Cosmics is for, I guess, Runix. Cosmic also helped against Snake Eyes Striking. At some point, I played against one opponent. He he greeted for Fire King Island, and I just banished, and he wiped his own board for that. So this is I guess this came up here and there. It has good utility for other matchups as well, but that's the one of the many times I use this, I guess, to help to save myself, I guess. And this is MVP, the barrier. This helped me slow down my opponents a lot, especially against Voiceless. And this also surprisingly was very much useful against Goaty because I play against one Goaty. I have no idea what they do, but I realize they like to synchro a lot, so this helps them. This plus this kind of locks them for quite some time, so they don't really get to play, and that's where you can take advantage and push for game. Uh, yeah, and then this is anti-flu. Oh wait, worth mentioning, the barrier is also perfect against Tenpai Dragons because they synchro, right? So this is also good against them, and this is the same thing. This is also good against Tenpai Dragons because they need, I believe, dragons to do something, whatever that is, whatever their play is. But this really helps them. I mean, helps us a lot. Uh, aside from that, this did wonders against Flu. Like they can't do anything, especially if they don't expect this. Um, you they're kind of screwed basically. They can't do anything about this unless they draw Sunset, I think, or they open Sunset. They can chip sack this or something like that. But my opponent didn't. So it worked out. Uh, I don't think I would change anything in the side deck. Uh, I guess maybe it really depends on what to expect, but this is really based on what I was concerned about. Uh, but yeah, no, honestly, I don't think I can't think of any other cards I would replace for the side deck. It seems to be perfectly fine. Maybe board breakers, but that's like Unchained can already break boards easily on its own, so I think this is okay. Um, it's worth talking about the fact that I lucked out pretty hard on this event because I have to mention that this deck loves to go first, or at least it thrives going first. And for my case, I have won 5 die roll out of 7, and the one of the 2 times I lost die roll, my opponent let me go first. So that was pretty much a freebie if they don't know what you're doing. Like I think this is the um, the best win con. Let's say the best win con factor is the surprise element because they don't really expect the Beatrice. A lot of times when you do your standard Unchained lines and they see two level 6, which is the two blue dogs or whatever you want to make with, or it could be Shavara as well. They're gonna expect you to bring out this guy, but then you go up with Beatrice, and then you just dump transaction rollback on your turn. So they'll think that you're probably gonna do um, what's it called? You're gonna probably copy one of the Unchained traps because that's your follow up, right? But turns out on their turn you just dump this, and it catches them off guard. Um, and that's pretty much game for them. They just pass and you OTK them the next turn. Often enough as well, if you lock them, they just scoop most of the time because they can see that you're gonna win anyway. But yeah, and I think what I did most often was you make sure if you have the opportunity to go into Beatrice line, you push for Apollosa. That way you kind of stop every single hand trap, every single possible hand trap. And the only card left that can probably shut this down is Imperm, but that's if you Imperm the Beatrice. And for that, you have Crossouts, right? Crossouts is the one card that backs you up. So if he has Nib, right, in their hand, plus Imperm, you Apollosa the Nib, and then if he chains Imperm on Apo, well, you just cross out, and then it's a win after that. I think that's pretty much it. But again, going second is not too bad. It's just you're gonna have to work a lot harder for this. And yeah, I did open a couple bricks sometimes, but it wasn't that bad. I was fortunate enough that it didn't happen too often. But oh, right. The other card I would probably swap for the third nib is probably one talent, because if you open the typical Rage and Caesar and with a set back row and pass, if you activate something, and obviously we know talent is a very strong card in this current meta, um, it's always nice to have, let's say, a set cross out, and then if he does talent, you can just call talent, and it helps you out, because otherwise this like lose pretty hard to talent, or it's very annoying to get thrown a talent at you, and they just clear your board with one single card. Um, but outside of that, I think yeah, those are the things I would change. I'm not gonna show the line because it's in the internet. You can easily YouTube it. Even Jesse Cotton showed it to you. So just shout out to Jesse Cotton for the line. Um, you can just improvise from that point on. You can still do the full combo from I believe his name's Cody. He topped one of those YCS. You can do the exact same lineup except instead of doing Caesar, you just end on a Beatrice instead, and it's the exact same board. So I think it's way to me it's better. Just why give a chance to your opponent to play when you can just lock them out and then OTK them the next turn, right? But yeah, that's it. Thank you. Have a good one.